Hi everyone, it's Heidi Smith here. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based here in the United Kingdom, and today I'm going to share a project that I created recently for a demonstrator day that I had with 10 demonstrators, mainly my own team, but some extras as well who came to join me, and I created 3 different projects using the beautiful Sear Silhouette paper. And this has got gorgeous bright colours with all the sort of almost a sprinkle effect, and we made a triple tier card. So it's a lovely pull-out card, as you can see here, and it's the sort of card that you could always stick on the fridge afterwards. Looks rather pretty, and on the reverse I've just added a little panel for you to write what you want, and it just shows that what I actually did was I used the reverse of the DSP when I created it. So we had 2 pieces from the one side and the middle section from the reverse. So that's the project we're going to do today. Quite a bit of cutting, but it's actually it's quite simple card once you get the technique going, and really good fun to make. And as you can see, I've used the fabulous Beautiful Friendship stamp set. This is one that really doesn't look very exciting at all when you see it in the catalogue, but when you see it stamped, it brings out the lovely detail of these textured stamps. And you can see here we've used really bright colours, so lovely Poppy Parade, Mango Melody. This one was using Mossy Meadow, and we've used the gorgeous double-sided ribbon with sort of Old Olive and Pretty Peacock, which I actually thought still coordinated well with Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to use a different piece of paper from the pack, and we're using this lovely one here. Lovely flowers on the one side and really bright colours on the other. So let's get started. So you take your sheet of 12 by 12. I'm going to work in centimetres. I'll pop the measurements in inches on my blog as well. And the first thing you're going to do is actually cut your cardstock into 3 pieces. Now what I would say is, if your paper has a direction on it, you want to work out what the direction is or how you want to see it. So with this one, I want my pattern in this orientation, so I'm just going to turn it through 90 degrees before I make my first cut. And the first one I'm going to cut at 12.5 centimetres. I'm then going to cut at 10 centimetres. And then that leaves this final piece, which is 7.5, 8 centimetres. I trimmed it down to 7.5. There you go. Like so. It just takes a little thin strip off. If you work in inches, you won't need to do that piece. So the next thing to do is actually do some scoring. So tuck your cutting blade out of the way, and you're going to first of all trim this to 29.5. So again, you're just taking a centimetre off the end there. And we are going to score at 10 and 20 centimetres. So 10 and 20. Our middle piece, like this, again, we're actually going to use the reverse of it. So turn it over now and cut it to 26.5. Cutting blade out of the way, and you're going to score at 9 and 18. And then the third piece, cut at 23.5. And then our scoring is at 8 and 16. So now we're going to do a bit of cutting, and this is the kind of trickiest bit of all. So you've scored 3 sections. This right hand section is a little bit shorter, and you want to come in at 2.5 centimetres or 1 inch and cut from 2.5 down to 10. So that's from 1 to 4. Then you want to come in at 1 inch from this edge here. Okay, so you're actually going to line it up at 22.5 centimetres. And again, you're going to go from 2.5 down to 10 centimetres. So you actually got 2 parallel slots there. On our middle piece, we're going to come in and again line up at 2.5, from 2.5 down to 7.5. You're then going to come in and line it up at 20.5, and again come from 2.5 down to 7.5. And that we don't need to do that on the top section. So you can now pop that to one side. So the next thing we need to do then is we're going to fold our paper. And this top section is really easy because actually what we're going to do is we're just going to add our tag. So take a piece of card that's 5 by 7.5 and take one of our tag topper punches. I'll use the ornate tag topper here. Just pop it all the way in and punch like so. And this is the section that's going to pull up. So you want to tuck your smaller section in and glue that down. Again, you can use whatever glue you want. And pop your tag in the middle of that section. Okay. So add some glue to the front. Tag as well, and then fold this flap over as well. Okay, I've used wet glue on that one because I'm going to leave it to one side while we work on the next piece. So our next section, so this time what we're going to do now is this is going to be our slider, and what we want to create is a pocket so that this card here is going to slide up and down, and then it won't get trapped by this. So you're going to line up your card in the middle, this piece, and you then want a little piece of Whisper White, which is just over a centimetre, 1.2 by about 9 centimetres, and you're going to pop that through this slider here like so. I'm then going to use a little bit of our super sticky tape on the end, and what you're going to do is just very gently fold these over, because what you want is for them to slide up and down. So you don't want them too tight, so you want them to be able to move up and down quite easily. So make sure you haven't got any glue hanging over, and say don't press too hard on that. What you do need to do though is make sure you attach this bit really well. So with our front of our card, so it's the one, so you've got the flap at the back, so this is going to be the front. You're going to line this up in the middle, and it helps to fold it up and just make sure it's nicely aligned. Make sure your slider is down at the bottom, and then fold that over. You're then going to add a piece of tape down this edge here, and fold that over like so. And that section then pulls up and down. We're then going to repeat that with our next layer. So here we go. So this is our outside. We're going to take another piece of card. This one is 10.5 centimetres long. And again, just fold that over gently on the right here. Make sure it moves up and down nice and freely. And add our tape. Like so. So just make sure you haven't got any hanging over. I have got a little bit there, so I'll just fold it over like so. Then remember which way is your front, so making sure that your join is at the back. Pop this in the middle. So again, just fold those up to make it easier for you to line them up. Put a piece of tape across the back here. And don't move it as I just did. Fold that over. Then pop a piece of tape down the edge here. Remove that and fold over. And there we have our basic slider card. So that is really, it's so much easier than I think it looks. So let's get on with the decorating. For the back of the card, I'm using a piece of old olive, which is 6 by 8.5, and a piece of Whisper White that is 5.5 by 8. And all I'm doing is put on the corner, adding my mango melody to the flower section. And then I'm just coming in, and as you can see on the corner here, just adding a little bit of green. Like so. And you can see the stamp does all the hard work for you. All you've got to do now is just layer that up. And that's our panel for the back, which is for our happy birthday sentiment. So I can pop that just in the middle there. And that just echoes the gorgeous colours that you've got. Now, our front panel, I've deliberately kept smaller than the whole front of the card, you see here. 9.5 by 8.5 for the old olive and 9 by 8 for the Whisper White. And the reason for that is because I want you to actually see some of the flowers as well. So we're going to take our big stamp and we're going to use our Poppy Parade and ink this up. Okay. And once you've done that, I've just popped that straight in the middle. Look at that. Come in with your with your leaf images, and those leaves just pop in on the side there. So there's a second sort of twin leaf which I'm just going to stamp off. And that gives that sense of depth with our leaves overlapping. And then I'm going to come in at the top with the Mango Melody, which reminded me of kind of wisteria kind of images. So again, we're using stamping off, so full strength and then stamped off. So once and twice, once and twice, once and twice, just to give that pretty effect. That's really easy, so add that to our panel. and that can go straight on the front there at the bottom. So onto our next panel, and on this panel we're 8.5 by 6 centimetres for the old olive, so 8 by 5.5 for the Whisper White. And on this one again I'm using my Poppy Parade, and again I'm using my leaf stamp, doesn't matter which one, and I'm using this lovely image. And then you can then, I'm actually going to use the Poppy Parade this time for the sentiment. So pop that in first, and that way you know how much space you've got to play with for your images. So. And often you don't, it doesn't matter if you stamp off to the side, it's often more effective than if you try and get a complete leaf stamped in it. Because obviously when you look at something you don't see the whole, the whole leaf always, you only just see a part of it. So pop that on a panel. And again, bring your card in. Just pop that into the top section there. So you don't see much of the yellow, but if you look on the back you obviously see that when you look at the sentiment. And then the final panel that we're doing is that very top one. So 7.5 by 3, and so 7 by 2.5 for the top section. And on that one I've just used the Mango Melody with the other flowers, and the same as I did before, so a bit of Mango Melody on the top and the leaves on the bottom. Obviously you could, if you wanted to use your markers, if you want to be more precise, but that's nice and quick. Again, come in and just add that to our layer. Like so. And then all that's left is to pop a bit of ribbon on the top. So I've got a length of ribbon cut here. And just pop that through, and I've kind of cut it that was a really rubbish job of cutting. There we go. Then I've just got a little bit of gold thread here, so all I did was just tie that around, and you could obviously add a bow if you wanted. You could use a bit of thread if you wanted. Obviously, like I say, I've used some gold twine here just to add a little bit of a sparkle. Leave those because it just adds, say, a little bit of sheen. And then you can just add a little bow. So there we go, one triple slider card for a super birthday. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me soon. Follow the links on my blog if you'd like to purchase any of the products. I'd love to be your demonstrator. So I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye now.